Wofford Football 1989, a season that began with high hopes and a home opener against West Georgia. Layman Manning reading this play just right, and the Braves lose 2 yards on the play. Trailing 6-0, the Terrier defense digs in. Travis Yates leads the charge, and Shane Reinhardt goes nowhere. In the second quarter, that tenacity pays off. Yates and Ron Fleming knock the ball loose, and Sean Keenan recovers for the Terriers. Wofford then puts together a 9-play drive that covers 69 yards, and Keith Davis caps it off with a 25-yard touchdown. The Terriers are on the board and have the lead 7-6. After a West Georgia field goal, Tony Shell is back to return the kickoff, and this one will be a beauty. Shell takes it all the way down to the West Georgia 34-yard line for a 60-yard return. You couldn't have asked for a more dramatic season opener, as this game would go down to the final minutes. The Terriers trail 17-10, and Keith Davis picks up critical yardage on a 3rd and 2 play. He rambles for 21 yards. Then, on 4th and 7, Sean Graves keeps the drive alive. With a couple of nice blocks and some smooth moves, Graves picks up 9 yards. 4 plays later, Davis takes it up the middle for a touchdown, and the Terriers end up just 1 point shy of victory at 17-16. The Citadel Cadets played host to Wofford in week 2, and you can bet they were surprised by that smaller school from the upstate. Wofford stops the Bulldogs on their first drive. Travis Yates and company keep Adrian Johnson from going anywhere. The Dogs' second drive is no more successful than their first, and this time Michael Dosher and Brad Gibson get the credit. On offense, the Terriers turned their second possession into the first score of the game. Sean Graves, 37 yards to a wide-open Tony Shell. It's Division II Wofford 7, Division I AA Citadel nothing. Later, the Terriers take to the air again. Graves hooks up with Anthony Cloud for a 12-yard gain. Charleston native Michael Dosher has the Bulldogs' number for this half, the Citadel getting minimal yardage on this play. The team, though, refused to get down, even when it trailed 21-7. And early in the second half, Wofford was impressive. On 4th and goal from the 1, Graves cuts inside for the touchdown, and it's 21-14 Citadel. On the very next play from scrimmage, Anthony Miles knocks the ball loose from Brendan Potts, and the Terriers come up with it. And they make the most of their opportunity. Only 1 play later, Graves waits, pitches it back to Keith Green. He curves around the sidelines 33 yards into the end zone, and they're all tied up at 21 apiece. The Citadel, however, went on from there to make the final 42-21. The Terriers were looking to change their luck in week 3, so they began by changing their look, switching to black pants. Lenore Ryan had an early 7-0 lead, but it didn't last long. Michael Dosher intercepts Tommy Laurendine at the 9-yard line and scampers in for the score to tie it at 7. In the second quarter, Judd Heldreth uses a little creativity to keep this drive alive. He fakes the punt, runs to his left, and picks up 18 yards on the play before the Bears can take him out of bounds. 2 plays later, Sean Graves pitches to Keith Green, and Green goes 19 yards for the touchdown. The Terriers take the lead 14-7. The next time Wofford touches the ball, the game is tied at 14. But Sean Graves quickly changes that with his speed and quickness. Graves goes 31 yards for the score and a 20-14 Wofford lead. When the offense took a break, the defense didn't give them much time to rest. Here, the defense has all of the Bears' receivers covered, forcing Laurendine to make a bad throw. That turns into Dosher's second interception of the night. The Terriers make the most of the opportunity. Graves takes it himself. This time, he goes 57 yards to pay dirt, giving Lenore Ryan something to think about. The Bears would also remember a swarming defense, here personified by Leroy Bentley sacking Joel Roop. And aggressive play in the secondary, like this pass broken up by Dennis Hemphill. Chevelle Frazier gets in on the action, nailing Laurendine for a 6-yard loss. And then there was Graves with his 4th touchdown of the night, and Wofford would return home with its first victory of the season, 41-34 over Lenore Ryan. The goal in week 4 would be to make it to 500, and the Terriers weren't about to let Catawba stand in their way. That was obvious from the first drive of the game as Sean Keenan glides in to break up this pass. On the next play, Mike Warfield has nowhere to go, no one to throw to, and no shot at converting this third down play. It was obvious early this would be a defensive battle, and every yard gain would be precious. Chris Simmons picking up 8 of them here. The Terriers' pressure gave Catawba trouble all night. Chuck Mazingo loses his man and forces Warfield to throw it away. The Indians' quarterback has no more success trying to run the ball to get out of trouble. This time he meets up with Travis Yates, and Yates gets the better of him. Then it's Wofford on the move. Graves, the fake, and then the pass to Tony Shell for a 10-yard gain and a first down. The drive ends with some heads-up play on special teams. Judd Heldreth with the punt down to about the 10-yard line, and the Terriers keep the Indians hemmed up deep in their own territory. Catawba, however, couldn't keep the Terriers backed up. Graves cuts right through a couple of defenders, heads toward the right sidelines, and goes 44 yards before the Indians are finally able to cut him down. The second half picked up with another nice run. Aaron Allen takes the kickoff at the 12-yard line, and he cuts through the Indians and back up the middle for a 31-yard gain on the play. That seemed to give Wofford the momentum it needed. The Terriers get on the board on the opening drive, thanks to this 33-yard field goal by Trace Cox, 3-0 Wofford. The defense makes sure Catawba doesn't get any closer. Harold Anderson barely makes 2 yards on this play. Warfield begins to experience deja vu as the Terriers give him no options once again, and Jeep Haley and Chuck Mazingo finish him off. The luck of the Indian receivers isn't any better. Sean Keenan makes sure everyone in the stadium heard that hit. The Terriers never let up, and that leads Warfield to make mistakes. He loses 11 yards on this play, and Mark Diffendorfer gets the sack. Then, with 4 minutes to go in the game, the pressure is so intense, Warfield lofts the ball into a crowd of Terrier defenders. Dennis Hemphill makes the interception and brings it all the way down to the 3-yard line. That sets up a touchdown to seal the victory. Wofford beats Catawba 10-0, and the team celebrates with a Gatorade shower for Coach Mike Ayers. Enthusiasm was high the following week, despite the fact that these showers were for real. But that's what you get with a 70-year-old rivalry like Wofford versus Presbyterian. The Terriers would strike first on this soggy afternoon. Keith Green takes the pitch, and once he gets out of some early traffic, it's clear sailing 53 yards into the end zone. When the defense comes out, Travis Yates stops Steve Parsley before Parsley can even make a move. The Terriers' Keith Green, on the other hand, makes a number of nice moves on this play to pick up 22 yards, even hurdling over teammate Chris Simmons in the process. Defensive pressure keeps PC from getting this play off the ground. Thanks to Yates and Clint Presley, Michael Dosher is able to register a fumble recovery. The next time the Blue Hose have the ball, Sean Keenan lets them know that Wofford means business. And the Terriers make sure the drive ends in their favor. Yates putting the rush on Harold Nichols, and Joey Moore is the beneficiary, coming up with the interception and taking it all the way to midfield. Not to be outdone by his teammate in the backfield, Keith Davis rambles 10 yards and picks up a first down. To the opposite side, Graves pitches to Green, and he claws his way for a well-earned 17 yards. The Terriers kept up the intensity in the second half, Green battling his way downfield for another 13 yards and another first down. On 3rd and 7, the reverse works to perfection. Tony Shell goes around the left side for a 15-yard gain, setting up another Wofford touchdown. The fourth quarter opens with Sean Graves aiming for the corner of the end zone, finding it and cutting the Presbyterian lead to 17-14. It looks like the Terriers will take the lead on this play, except for that flag at the line of scrimmage. Instead of Graves scoring on a 46-yard run, the Terriers are penalized for illegal procedure. Late in the game, however, Graves will pick up critical yardage that counts. He finds a hole in the PC line and outruns just about everyone. Graves picks up 41 yards to set up a touchdown 2 plays later. Again, Graves will take it himself, and with some nice blocks up front, he scores to make it 24-20 Presbyterian. With only 3 minutes left, the Terriers decide to go for 2. Green takes the pitch and hits Rod Garner in the end zone. The Terriers trail by only 2 points, but they can't make them up in time, and PC gets the win. Week number 6 would see the Terriers back on the road again, this time making their first trip to the University of New Haven. The defense made its presence felt on the Chargers' first play from scrimmage, Travis Yates with the deflection and Michael Dosher coming down with the interception. This time, it's Dosher putting the pressure on the quarterback, getting the deflection, and Chuck Mazingo almost picks it off. On offense, the Terriers went with their ground attack. Chris Simmons picks up a good 14 yards on this play and ends up just shy of the end zone. Then it's Keith Davis bowling his way up the middle for a 12-yard gain and a first down. Back on defense, the Terriers kept a tight rein on the Chargers' receivers. Dennis Hemphill breaking up the play in the end zone. And to close out the half, special teams got into the act. Tony Shell meets no resistance and blocks this field goal attempt before it even gets off the ground, and the Terriers recover. In the second half, Yates on the blitz, and McLucas doesn't even have a chance. He goes down for a 7-yard loss. Back on offense, Sean Graves waits until the last second to pitch it, and Green turns it into a 15-yard gain and a first down play. The next time the Chargers get the ball, the Terriers keep them hemmed in. Leroy Bentley and Joey Moore coming up with the sack. On the first play of the fourth quarter, special teams spices things up. Fred Day takes the snap instead of punter Judd Heldreth, and Day comes up with 7 yards for the first down. To end the game on a positive note, Sean Graves does another one of his impressive sprints to the end zone. This one will be a 70-yard touchdown, but it wasn't enough for the afternoon as the Terriers lose 41-13.
Hey, Mom. Hi, Dad.
And everyone else in attendance for this homecoming game against Newberry, a game that got off to a perfect start. On the Terriers' first drive, Sean Graves goes to his left and makes some nice cuts for a 14-yard score, and Wofford leads 7-0. The Terrier defense starts off just as well, Chuck Mazingo making sure the Indians don't go anywhere. On the next play, Leroy Bentley deflects this pass by Tim Singleton, and the Terriers almost get the interception. Just a few plays later, they'll take it over on offense. Graves pitching it to Rod Garner, and he rambles 50 yards to set up another touchdown, making it 14-0 Wofford. The Indians try to rally with a no-back offense, but it doesn't take long for the Terriers to join Singleton in the backfield. Chevelle Frazier, Brian Tankersley, and Joey Moore nail him for a 9-yard loss. Rod Garner would continue to assert himself. This time he picks up 12 yards and a first down before going out of bounds. Later, Sean Graves looks like he's in trouble, but not for long. He scrambles up the middle and gets free, and from there it's a 73-yard foot race to the end zone. Wofford 21, Newberry 7. The Terrier defense would keep the Indians out of the end zone for the rest of the half. Just about everyone gets in on this pileup for a loss of 1 yard. And then Dennis Hemphill has perfect timing, deflecting this potential scoring pass. The Terriers kept that momentum going in the second half. On their first drive, Garner picks up 9 yards and sets up another score that makes it 28-10 Wofford. The Indians become all too familiar with the Terrier defense, with no gain on the play this time. And speaking of familiar sights, Graves puts another 6 points on the board, this time with a 70-yard run, his 5th touchdown of the day, a new Wofford single-game record, and the Terriers lead 35-10. At this point, everyone who can does get in on the action. Aaron Allen with a gain of 14 yards for a first down. And it'll be Allen again taking the pitch, this time for a 13-yard gain. Newberry, meanwhile, never gets on the board again. Clint Presley with the pressure on Singleton, and despite an interference call on the play, the Indians can do nothing on the drive. The Terriers, on the other hand, weren't quite finished. Garner, with another beautiful run, picks up 36 yards on this play, and he'd finish with 142 yards total. On the next play, Jay Hampton hands off to A.J. Jennings for a 10-yard score, and the Terriers are up 42-10. Now, the defense wasn't finished either. Hank Young and company on the blitz, and Young chases down his target, which is cause for plenty of celebration. As for everyone getting into the spirit of things, Alan Morris picks up 11 yards to help set up the final score of the day. Darren Goss going 51 yards, and the Terriers going on to a 49-10 homecoming victory. The Terriers were on the road again in Week 8, this time facing Furman, the defending national champion of 1AA football. And this game would also mark the 100th anniversary of the first college football game ever played in the state of South Carolina between these same two teams. This time, every yard gained would be hard fought. Darren Goss with a nice 36-yard kickoff return. Furman's Frankie DeBus going down at the hands of Travis Yates and Michael Dosher. Mike Ayer's team would even put in a couple of tricks from its playbook, like this fake punt by Judd Heldreth, who ends up with an 18-yard gain before it's all over. Wofford even took to the air. Sean Graves and David Jennings connecting on this sideline pattern for 11 yards. In the second half, the Terrier defense holds on this 4th and 1 play, Fred Day and Anthony Miles making sure of it. In the fourth quarter, Graves makes sure the Terriers make it into the end zone, but they'll end up on the losing end of this one, 42-7. The Terriers regrouped and unified for the following game against Davidson. They also regained the spark from their last home game against Newberry. Rod Garner picks up where he left off, picking up 20 yards on the Terriers' first possession. The defense regains its stingy form, Anthony Miles making sure this play goes nowhere. Keith Green gets Wofford rolling on its first scoring drive. He will weave his way upfield for an 18-yard gain. And 2 plays later, Sean Graves begins the assault. The fake to Keith Davis. Graves keeps it himself and hurdles a few Wildcats until he's in the clear. It's a 49-yard touchdown and a 7-0 Wofford lead. Davidson just can't seem to find that same kind of space here, thanks to Sean Keenan and Clint Presley. The next time the Terriers have the ball, they'll score again. Chris Simmons helps set it up by picking up 18 yards on this play. Graves caps off the drive with a nice fake and a 12-yard score, and it's 14-0 Wofford. The picture continues to be bleak for the Cats as Michael Dosher comes in for the sack and Davidson just can't register a first down. Darren Goss, on the other hand, gets a first down and more with an 18-yard gain, and he's got the Terriers rolling again. A.J. Jennings tests the waters up the middle and ends up with a 12-yard gain. 4 plays later, Travis Harrison splits the uprights from 37 yards out. Wofford 17, Davidson nothing. The next Terrier possession leads to the next Terrier score. Graves sets it up right here with a number of nice moves and a 44-yard pickup. This time, Garner gets to finish it off. 16 yards, and the ball just has to cross the plane, and the Terriers are in command, 24-0. The next time Wofford has the ball, Keith Green finds the end zone. He rambles 53 yards for this score to make it 31-0 Wofford. To complete the scoring for the half, the Terriers go to the air. Graves to David Jennings, 21 yards, 37-0 Wofford. Special teams contributions would be just as important. Harrison with the kickoff to the 10-yard line, and Davidson is pinned down at its own 19-yard line. Just like the last home game, everyone gets to play in this one. Wade Pilgrim with the sack, and the Cats lose 11 yards on the play. Jay Hampton and Anthony Cloud hook up for a 22-yard TD, and the scoreboard says it all. To preserve the shutout, it's Pilgrim again from behind the line of scrimmage. Aaron Allen helps the Terriers run out the clock, running for 15 yards on this play. The Terriers are back on the winning track, with a 51-0 victory.
Let's go. From start to finish, baby. Let's go now. Let's go.
Week 10 would find the Terriers in Lexington, Kentucky, taking on Kentucky State. But the Thoroughbreds would find that the Terriers still had the spark from the week before. Rod Garner dives in from the one for an early 7-0 lead. Defense and special teams would pick up where they left off. Brian Tankersley with the tackle for a 4-yard loss. Sean Keenan hustling to block this punt, and Tony Shell is there to scoop up the ball and go in for the touchdown, 14-0 Wofford. The next time Kentucky State has the ball, Hank Young and Jeep Haley team up to sack the quarterback for an 11-yard loss. Wofford gets the ball back and goes on another scoring drive. Keith Davis a nice 10-yard pickup. 3 plays later, it's Keith Green up the middle for 31 yards, and he ends up just shy of the end zone. On the very next play, Sean Graves takes it in, and the Terriers are looking at a 21-0 lead. The Thoroughbreds' next possession ends up as another turnover. They're the ones who deflect this pass into the arms of Shane Williamson, and Williamson brings it all the way back to the Kentucky State 41. To close out the half, the Terriers put the pressure on again. Anthony Miles forcing the bad throw, and Marcus McKinney is there to pick it off, ending any threat of a Thoroughbred score as he brings it all the way back to midfield.
Hey, yo, man, what you say, yo?
On their first possession of the second half, the Terriers add a field goal, and on their second possession, Graves hooks up with David Jennings to set up another touchdown that makes it 31-0. The defense comes back with some aggressive play of their own, flushing the quarterback out and forcing him out of bounds for a loss of 1 yard. On the next play, White comes up with the interception and takes it all the way down to the 10-yard line. That leads to another Terrier touchdown and a 38-0 lead. In the fourth quarter, the pressure doesn't let up. Catlett thinks he has a receiver downfield, but Dennis Hemphill makes sure this pass is never completed. With Jay Hampton at quarterback, the Terriers do complete their passes. This one goes from Hampton to Jennings, and Jennings does a little sideline dance to make it a 40-yard pickup. Later in the drive, Hampton, under pressure, gets it off to Darren Goss, and Goss makes a perfect catch and gets the first down. 3 plays later, Hampton hooking up with Goss again. This time it's for a 33-yard score to make it 45-0 Wofford. The Terriers preserve the shutout as Tankersley gets the sack on this play, and Wofford ups its record to 5-5 with a 45-0 victory. The Terriers' season finale would be in the friendly confines of Snyder Field. West Virginia Tech was the opponent, but did nothing to stand in Wofford's way. The Terriers took the opening kickoff, and on the 4th play from scrimmage, Sean Graves takes off for a 46-yard touchdown, 7-0 Wofford. Whenever Tech had the ball, it just couldn't do much. The Terriers power their way in, and Brian Tankersley gets the quarterback sack. Wofford takes over again, and again only needs 4 plays to get on the board. This time it's Keith Green with the touchdown from 20 yards out, 14-0 Wofford. Still in the first quarter, Tony Shell moves into the spotlight. With the reverse that works to perfection, no one can touch him as Shell scores on a 48-yard TD, 21-7 Terriers. In the second quarter, Keith Davis finds some holes up the middle, and he rambles for 28 yards before Tech finally brings him down at its own 45-yard line. 6 plays later, Graves with the nice fake. He takes it himself around the right side, and Graves finds the corner of the end zone for a 15-yard score, 28-7 Terriers. Tech's quarterback Holder, on the other hand, doesn't fool anyone. A trio of Terriers go after him, and Russ Howard finally pulls him down. This scoring threat just offers another challenge. Brad Gibson rising to the occasion, and he's held off from making the interception. The next play goes for negative yardage. Chevelle Frazier literally bowling over Holder for a loss of 8. Sean Graves and Tom Coulter enjoy the rest of the half from the sidelines. Jay Hampton and David Jennings hook up for a 27-yard gain, and 3 plays later, it's Hampton to Anthony Cloud from 24 yards out. Wofford goes into the locker room with a commanding 35-7 lead.
We got it.
The second half began just like the first. On Wofford's 4th play, Sean Graves, this time to the left sideline and back up the middle of the field, and the Terriers are on a roll, 41-7. Everyone would get to share in this victory. A.J. Jennings up the middle for a well-fought 21 yards, setting up another Terrier touchdown. Here, the Terrier rush once again overpowers the Tech line, and Holder goes down for a loss of 8. Then the Terriers go after Tech's backup quarterback. They have him so rattled that his pass is deflected at the line and into the arms of Fred Day. And this turnover would lead to one more Wofford score. Alan Morris helps set it up with a 19-yard run right up the middle. Jay Hampton and Freddie Brown then make it 55-7 Wofford on this 6-yard touchdown pass. And the only concern Mike Ayers has now is how cold that water is in the cooler.
No, 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 no. No, no, no.
The Terriers will be able to bathe in this victory for quite a while. Their season ends with a 6-5 record, their best in 6 years, with memories that will last a lifetime.
Let's go, I'm gonna smoke you right here. Sit.
Hey, Coach, ain't nobody gonna drop it today.
You don't know what it's going to feel like not to be able to play anymore. Something you've done, you know, for the biggest part of your life up until this point.
Make sure you don't pull anything when you go around on that lap.
It's an exciting time because, you know, football's come to an end. We got a chance to have a winning season, but yeah, it's also, I guess, kind of an end of an era. Almost like losing a best friend.
It's a time when we can look back on all the good times and bad times that we had together and look from where we came until see how far we got.
You guys are here, you ain't gonna miss it. Put it in. Nope. All right, baby. All right, we're gonna break it out with solid. Solid on 2. 1, 2, solid.
I say I won't cry, but I have a feeling I will. It'll get real emotional.
This is it. Yeah, we got it.
I mean, you can't be I get that little macho image or whatever and say, well, I'm going to be totally unaffected by it and everything, because, I mean, these are guys you've been around basically, at least in our class, our senior class, since we were freshmen, you know, and we came in and we've been through different things together, hardships as well as good times, and you just can't help but be affected by leaving something like this and the people around in this area, the Wofford community on campus and all, and it's just totally sad.
Love you, man. Thanks for everything.
Like has been said before, you remembered best by your last performance, and we just want to leave everybody with a great impression.
Whether a student's interests lie in the sciences or the arts, or any number of other fields, Wofford can satisfy his needs. The Wofford experience can be whatever the student wants it to be. He can choose from among 18 different academic departments, and each department offers experiences that go beyond the classroom. Students in the sciences can dive into undergraduate research projects as early as their sophomore year. They work side by side with professors and perform an integral part of the research.
It's very good. It's to the point where the professors become your mentors. They will teach you things. They speak to you on a more professional level. It's basically just working with an equal now.
For those who strive for academic excellence, Wofford is one of 5 independent Phi Beta Kappa colleges and universities in the South. Phi Beta Kappa is a prestigious honorary fraternity that encourages and recognizes academic excellence.
It kind of gives you that extra push in your education process. You not only have you're kind of a standard that everybody else is trying to reach for.
Lynn and I both are planning to go on to grad school, and it kind of gives grad schools a common basis to evaluate you on. Phi Beta Kappas from anywhere, they're going to know that you're high caliber students.
Wofford knows what its students need to achieve their academic goals, and to that end, it provides a modern library, a career services office, and even a foreign language lab that has a satellite downlink to receive international telecasts. At the library, students have access to personal computers to work on their projects. And with a computer database, students have access to books anywhere in the world.
So libraries are, in some sense, breaking down the walls of the building and reaching out with electronic links to the whole world.
Outside of classroom work are sessions like this one, which is part of the Wofford Writers Series. Shirley Ann Grau is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author, one of many who visit the Wofford campus during the year, meeting informally and formally with the students and the Spartanburg community.
If you don't take a stand while you're young, it's going to be hard to take a stand as you get older.
Wofford athletes also get a chance to get out in the community and show that they're not just one-dimensional. Football player Chris Simmons is one of 30 athletes involved in the Wofford Speakers Bureau. Once or twice a week, about 2 or 3 individuals go to schools and talk to the students there about a number of topics, from saying no to drugs to improving their reading skills.
I tell you, it's probably one of the greatest experiences besides playing on Saturday night, just going out and seeing little kids who look up to you and knowing that you made it and that you're playing football and stand for something that really means a lot more than football. That's really what's great about it. Okay, everybody look here. Everybody look here.
And the Wofford experience doesn't just end on graduation day. Wofford alumni are a loyal bunch. At some schools, athletics and academics are worlds apart. But at Wofford, athletes have gone on to make names for themselves in numerous academic fields. In 1958, Jerry Richardson was one of the best terrier receivers ever. He went on to play for the Baltimore Colts, and now he's the president of one of the largest food service operations in the United States. These days, he's also known as the man behind the effort to bring an NFL team to the Carolinas. In 1970, quarterback Harold Chandler was rewriting the school record books and on his way to joining Richardson in the school's Hall of Fame. Today, he works in Atlanta as the senior executive vice president for the CNS Corporation.
I really appreciated the fact that in the classrooms of approximately 20 students dealing directly with the professor and not a graduate student, to have that closeness with student and with professor in a unique learning environment has helped me prepare, I think, for a very competitive business world.
A comfortable-sized student body of 1,100 helps make all this possible. And college presidents from around the country have recognized Wofford's achievements. In a recent poll by U.S. News and World Report, those presidents named Wofford as having the best humanities program among Southern liberal arts colleges. Those same presidents also recognized Wofford as one of the best colleges of its kind in the nation.